The World Sports Guineas sees the much-anticipated return of Cape star Charles Dickens. He took the Cape by storm this summer with his flashy looks and an acceleration that set hearts pounding.
He's starting to pick them off one by one up the outside. It's Charles Dickens. Ladies and gentlemen, you seeing something special as Charles Dickens shows he's a champion. He wins the Guineas easy.
He was just what racing needed, but may be made to run, with the likes of Cousin Casey, Anfield's Rocket and See It Again lining up alongside him on Saturday. Grade 1 winning Charles Dickens is 6 from 8, having won from 1,000 to 1,600 metres and being placed twice over further.
He's just travelled up to Durban. He arrived on Saturday, left Friday. He seems to have travelled quite nicely. First run of the season, and obviously his first time at Greyville and going around on a right bend, so a couple of first times for him. But again, not the greenest of horses, so he should handle things perfectly fine. It didn't end up being too big a field, but obviously some fairly nice competitive horses in there that have obviously run on this course before. So he's going to have to come from off the pace a bit. He is drawn a bit wide, and I think we've ended up drawing 8. So it is his first run back, so it'll suit him to sit off the pace, and I think he will actually be suited to Greyville this season. I think with that turn of foot that he has, he'll be able to quicken up quite quickly. So obviously hoping for the best. We'll just have to see how obviously his first run back and travelling and all those things together. But I would like to think that's all gone well, and that he will have a big chance.
Cousin Casey, that puts his head in front.
Grade 1 winner and dual Grade 2 placed Cousin Casey is 5 from 10, winning from 14 to 1,600 metres.
Cousin Casey wins it.
Yeah, he settled in beautifully, and his first run was a super prep run.
And it's Strawberry Bear. Cousin Casey's trying to get to it with Jimmy Don. But Strawberry Bear's going on, and Strawberry Bear won it. Second, Cousin Casey.
And now we're having our second one, which is the Guineas. We obviously would have liked Charles Dickens not to be there, not simply because I can't beat him, but simply because I don't want to beat him because of the rating going up. He is doing exceptionally well. I'm very, very pleased with his prep. We had a good team work ethic going on here with the jocks that work closely to me. So Grant's very lucky that he can just fly in and get on him. But that's what it's all about, consistency, and his work's been phenomenal. So we're excited. He's got a fair draw, and I think he'll give them a run for their money on Saturday.
Anfield's Rocket is 6 from 10, winning from 1,000 to 1,800 metres, including the Grade 1 World Sports Betting SA Classic in his penultimate.
Anfield Rocket stays on. Anfield Rocket beat Jimmy Don.
The first thing we've got to do is I think we've got to ignore his Cape run in the Guineas. I don't think that it was his true ability, what he shows you when he went back to Joburg, how he performed. His biggest downfall in the race is that he lacks early speed and he gives himself too much to do, and I don't think you can do that at Greyville, especially taking the quality of Charles Dickens and the rest of the field, which is a real quality field. But I think we have been working on that, and we have had a lot of chats with Raymond about trying to get him more into the race. So hopefully we can get that right. I think if the real Anfield's Rocket is not too far behind, I think he might give Charles Dickens a run for his money. He gets here on Thursday afternoon, and the trainer is very happy with his work. He said he's never been better, and he's really bullish about his chances. And obviously we know Charles Dickens is obviously really the best horse in the race, but you never know in racing. He has got the worst draw, but I don't think the draw is going to matter to Charles Dickens. He's got the best turn of foot of any horse in the race. He's shown he's beaten 90% of the horses in the race, so he's really the horse. I think if the real Charles Dickens turn up on the day, we'll all have to beat him.
Grade 1 Splash Out Cape Derby winner See It Again is 3 from 7, winning from 1,400 to 2,000 metres.
See It Again got there. See It Again beat Charles Dickens.
Well, he's come back from the Cape well matured, and he's actually put in about 30 kgs from the time that he left here and then back. But obviously that's the maturity, and also the different tracks they work on there, the heavy sand has pulled him up. But he's in good form. Obviously this is a stepping stone we're opening the Daily News, and then obviously, the final at the July. But he's in good nick. He's working well. He's in good form. He's full of beans. Probably a little bit on the short side for him nowadays. And good draw. That'll help us to put us in the race early. And we just hope for a nice space. It's a tough race. I think this is a very, very. It's probably one of the best Guineas fields we've seen for a long time.
There's perhaps not much to choose between the top 4 in the betting. All are Grade 1 winners, having won over the mile, except for Anfield's Rocket, who nevertheless is certain to get the trip, having won over 200 metres further, but with a spread of 12 points in their merit ratings, with Charles Dickens on top at 132. At level weights, the race could just favour him. At My Command is 3 from 10, but hasn't missed the frame, having also been stakes placed behind the likes of Charles Dickens and cousin Casey.
At My Command, comfortable in the end from Hans Solo.
This horse is absolutely flying up, and I felt, just his coat, his work, how he's performed, he's been an absolute superstar so far. He has drawn 7 in the Guineas, which is not the ideal spot, but this boy's absolutely flying at home. I couldn't be happier with him. I think he's going to be a very big run on the day. Obviously another runner that, we're not looking to get him at his peak now into the Guineas. It's definitely a run that he's going to come on from. But he's doing very well at home, and I think he's going to be a very competitive run in the Guineas.
Like At My Command, Dave the King is also 3 from 10, but all his wins have come over 1,200 metres.
But Dave the King makes a good debut performance here in Highveld.
Dave the King, we thought it was a perfect start-up in the half out for him. Over the 1,200, he came from the back and won a good race under the hands. I think he's going to love the mile, and he's got a good job on, obviously, another competitive field with the likes of Charles Dickens in it, but we feel we have a nice chance there.
East Coast might just have the last crack at them.
The second of Mike de Kock's runners, East Coast, is 2 from 9, having won from 1,450 metres to 1,700. He's been Group 2 placed over the mile.
East Coast has been disappointing his last 2 starts. Tough race to contend in, but it's got a lovely draw that's in his favour. And I think he'll relish this mile trip, and then obviously once he goes a bit further, Daily News type of distance, you'll probably find a better horse. But hopefully all fit and well, and see what they can do.
Wicken Warrior is 3 from 6, having won from 14 to 1,600 metres.
They're going to get there. Wicken Warrior won it though.
I would never run him in that field if I didn't think there was a lot of upside to him. I've got all, obviously, respect for a lot of horses in the race. I think to run in the first 4, you're going to have to run too close to a merit rating of 120. Realistically, he's going to have to run well above his rating, and I do expect him to do that. To think he's going to run to a 120 might be ambitious. I do think he's still going to be better over 2,000 metres. So I am hoping that he runs just off them. We'll get a line as to where we are, and go plan from there. He's an ambitious entry in the Durban July, and we did put him in the first stages, and I think as we head towards the Daily News 2000, we'll see the best out of him. But having said that, he's going into this race really sharp. He's really super well, and he'll run out of his skin. I'm pretty sure about that. He's just a horse that excites me, and there's a lot of progress to come from him. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes against the big ones. But I don't recall a KZN Guineas as tough as this one.
Melech is back along the inside.
The field is made up with the Roy Magnet trained Melech, who's 3 from 4, having won from 1,160 metres to 1,450. He goes the 1,600 for the first time.
His form's good. He has been nominated in a few feature races, but keeps drawing badly, so didn't run. But he now heads for the Guineas at Greyville. Again, badly drawn 9 of 9. It's a very competitive field, but we do rate him. His prep has gone very well, uninterrupted. He will travel to Sommerveld on Friday with other Joburg campaigners. Let's hope he travels well. He does have a very good attitude, so hopefully it all goes well. We rate him. He's a decent boy.
So, Anthony, one last question. What about pace in the race?
Yeah, that's what beats good horses and a lack of pace. And I've looked at the field. There is not going to be too much pace. And I think that's the only thing that I would be concerned if I was riding Charles Dickens, because obviously he's got a terrible barrier. Does he make the decision to drop him out completely right away, or does he try and ride a race? And with the lack of pace, it's always can get good horses beat. But only good thing I've got to say with him, he's just got such a great turn of foot. So I don't think the lack of pace will do anything against him. I think it might play into his favour if Aldo knows him very well. So he will understand that there's going to be a bit of lack of pace. But I can look at the field and I think there is going to be a lack of pace.
It sounds like it's going to be one heck of a contest.
Well, I think the fantastic thing, I enjoy seeing all good horses, and having a small field of nine horses. Those are the best 3-year-olds in the country. Which sometimes with a small field, there's no problem of not getting a run. You're always going to get a run, especially Greyville being a tight track. Yeah. So I think Aldo wouldn't be panicking if he's at the back. And just let's hope our horse can get into the race. And I think if he does get into the race, he'll give a good account of himself.
Well, I'm hoping that all the trainers and the handicappers are all thinking the same, because when I saw Charles Dickens in the weights, I said, gosh, this is going to be a very small field. And I didn't expect everybody to stand their ground. But there are 3-year-olds that are trying to get into the July and need their weights to go up. And then there's others that are trying to protect it. So it's a real catch-22. I wish the July conditions were different. I know it is a handicap, and I know it's the best handicapped horse that usually wins and not necessarily the best horse. But it's quite a tricky path to follow. You've got to box and weave and do your best. I'm hoping that the course is packed because it's going to be a great race.